with this situation. And we're talking about the amount of money. Like you said, it's 1.6 trillion. I'm just looking at the different charts that we have here. Back in 2007, it was only 500. I'm saying 516 billion only because right now it's 1.6 trillion. So that's an increase in less than. It's like what 2007. It's like 15 years. It's gone up that much. It's gone up 100. It's gone up a trillion in 16 years. Has the actual level of education gone up to 100% or 200% in that amount of time? I don't think somebody would argue that.
No.
If you go further back to what was the student loan debt in 1970, I'm trying to find some charts, but I imagine it was almost non-existent back then. But other things that have gone up in that 2003 range to 2013. If student loan debt is something that this is something that at least I'm finally glad in. One of the silver linings of something like this coming out is I think we can now rest this whole idea that people on the political left, especially the younger people who've been about like the debt forgiveness of the people with the homeowners or the banks being bailed out, just get to the general understanding that people don't really care about the redistribution of wealth in general. Stephen and I are both anarchists in the sense that we don't like a state or government that is above the laws. We're not appreciative. We think taxation is a form of extortion. That's something that we kind of agree on. We prefer more like free market policies. We are more for like private property and that kind of thing. So it's more like towards the libertarian side of that. And we're rather strong on that. And I think we're relatively consistent on that. If you find us slipping on that in the previous things that we've talked about, call us out on that. So in general, the general principle of saying a government can guarantee loans for anything, there's nothing I think the government should be able to guarantee loans for. I want the government completely out of the education system. It shouldn't be a Department of Education. I don't even think they abolish that stuff. So that's my stance on that. But once the people accept, they should be in the Department of Education. Education should be something that the government guarantees. Once you go from K through 12 and all that thing, I think Project Veritas just released a new video of some people in Connecticut talking about, we only hire liberals, or we find ways to not hire conservatives, not hire Catholics, and we want them to vote in a certain way. We're hired for the kids. You're not hired for the kids. People are working for themselves. It's a boondoggle. The whole schooling indoctrination complex is a boondoggle to hire people that there's that one while saying those who can't teach. I don't think that's right, because I'm going to get very semantic here, because I don't think the people who can't do what they're actually trying to teach you actually can teach you about that thing. That's why you see the schooling indoctrination process where people are not actually coming out educated. They're coming out indoctrinated. The people who can indoctrinate, who can preach, who can ideologize or whatever, they're able to ideologize and teach and indoctrinate kids. And because that's what's being selected for in these schooling indoctrination complexes. It's not for education. The few teachers that actually are able to do their work, to be a physicist or to be a biologist or to really write books, those are the people who can actually teach. And some of those people happen to still be in schools, but it's shrinking by the day because it's just not an environment that's for them. So that's my general basis. Do you generally agree with that?
Yeah, well, I was going to add, James Lindsay made a really good point before he got kicked off of Twitter. One of my heroes banned from Twitter. But he said there's a common argument you see amongst Marxists and all their errors. That, like, you see this in all of their literature, whether it's critical race theory, gender theory, all this. And I see this argument with the school system too. They basically say, well, everyone already does X by default, but we know we're doing it and we're doing it for the right reasons. So therefore we're justified in doing it. So like, well, parents indoctrinate kids into their beliefs too. Well, kids get abused at home too. Well, straight people groomed, like it's basically, but we're doing it for the right reason. So that's their justification. And they see it as, it's either we're not indoctrinating people, which most people know is a lie now, or it's, okay, yes, we're doing it, but it's the right thing for the right reasons for that. And like, once I understood that, I'm like, yeah, that's the argument they commonly use.
Yeah. So that's a regular thing that you see there. So I think now that we've seen that people are okay with the resources being redistributed, if they benefit from it, if they can imagine they benefit from it. Because think about it, most of the things were some of the general objections to the banks being bailed out was, oh, trickle down economics doesn't work, and that's a made up term that I think people mostly on the politically left have been mentioning, rather than, oh, these are what like free market capitalists. No, that's not something that they actually believe in. It's a really good article by Thomas Sowell who's like, no, find me actual sources of actually libertarian type of free market economists actually talking about trickle down. You can't find that. But this is now they're saying, oh, this is trickle up. Oh, if you just give the money to the people below and then they spend the money, that's why the stimulus is needed and things like this. Because they were only objecting to saying that you're bailing them out and we're not seeing any of that money. That was the only objection. They weren't objecting to bailouts. They were objecting to not getting some of that high. Thank you for listening. This has been a clip from an actual longer recording that I'll try to leave a link to on the screen or somewhere around here where you're listening to this.
Presents. 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 Presents.
Peasants.
Okay. Okay.